and welcome back to the Forder and Wackles podcast. Another live on Friday. It is boiling hot, and I look like a sweaty mess. I also look like I'm burnt to a crisp. How are you, mate? Is it just as hot for you, or is that actually a bit more mild now?
It's a little bit more wild than the other day when we did the podcast. We had the worst storm I've ever seen in my life that night. We had leaks in the house. The lightning was crazy. So at least it's a little bit better than that with the humid, but it's okay now.
And we don't have a delay tonight because last week was mental. It was like a 30-second gap between every single conversation that we were having. So it was almost, like when you have to interpret what you think they're going to say so you can just come straight back in.
It might get delayed a bit later, so
we'll see how it goes.
slowly.
We'll see how it goes. Okay, before we kind of get started, are we going to get some deals done? Or, are we just waiting to the end of the window, Reece?
Oh, it's actually like how our club operate. I mean, it's so stressful. I don't think any other team has to deal with this. I mean, it is what it is. Like I've said, like start of July is where we really have to consider it. And even now, I think the last couple of days we're starting to see Arsenal a little bit ramp up in a lot of news. I think with other players. But I mean, we just got to get that striker done, and then I think everything else kind of falls into place a little bit. So I know, just hurry up, I guess.
Yeah. Are you annoyed about it? Like, I'm not bothered. I mean, we said about this last week. Like, right now, the Club World Cup to me doesn't mean anything. It's like, it's just another, it's almost like a friendly thing, like the Emirates Cup or the Audi Cup or whatever it may be. I'm not bothered. The Nations League's another. I just don't care. I just do not care. So for me, I feel that just get this thing out of the way, get Zubimendi in, and then we'll talk about the transfer window and Arsenal being, proactive or reactive then. Because right now it's like, no, I just don't care. That's terrible, isn't it?
I think all the frustration literally comes from Liverpool. I think if they weren't doing the stuff that they were doing, and it is like in a jealousy sort of point, it is annoying. Like even, I mean, the reports the last couple of days, they got the Vert still done. Now they've got the Kuzkiev one, it looks like done, and now they're straight on to Gueye, and obviously Konsa's gone, and it's just how quick they are at doing things, and it's just like, why do we have to mess around with like 5 to 10 mil and all these payment structures and wait until July to make everyone happy? Where it's like, why can't we just do what they're doing? And that does frustrate me a little bit, but we'll see what happens. Patience obviously does win in the end.
I mean, is it 40 mil reported that they're going to get? And I just feel that, again, you look at our records, I don't think our maximum is even 40, is it? I think it's 38 mil. But we're just not good at selling. Like, I hope Berta can change that. I hope there's some kind of improvement on that side, away from the pitch. But it's just so frustrating because, as you say, when you see other clubs do it, you start to compare yourself against them. And then it's also that other thing of, are we going for these payment structures? And are we kind of arguing about 5 mil here and 5 mil there because we can't get in money? And then when links like Alexander Isak to Liverpool come out, which I don't think that's going to happen this summer. It would be crazy if they got him as well. But just the links annoy me because it's like, no, that should be us. We should be linked. We should be the ones going for him. And I know the chances of them getting inverts and then getting an Isak as well in the same summer are like slim to none, but it still winds me up. But do you feel that, or are you just kind of like, oh, well, it's just
I think that's the only point where I'm actually frustrated. Usually I'm calm. I'm usually like fine with it. I'm patient. I don't care until we wait till July. But it is so frustrating to see the Isak links to them, and they're going in. I don't care about Mark Gueye. He'll be a good player for them. Like, I think for the money, it's a good deal. But like for us, it doesn't make sense. Yet again, not going to come in as a backup. So like, we're not, even if it is cheaper, it's pointless, like even comparing them. And for Kwanzaa as well, like it is what it is. It's a good deal for them, but I'm not like jealous. But it's when it comes to like Isak and Verts and all these big ones, and just how quick they are. They just see someone and they know what they're doing, and within a week they've got him. And we need to sell better. You're right, and I don't think we're going to sell much better this summer, which is a problem. I feel like we'll have to wait for the future to really see the effect of that.
But mate, Let's go to it. Let's go straight to it. Zubimendi. I said last week, what I've been told is that Sociedad are essentially saying we're not going to do the deal until the new kind of financial year for football kind of goes through. And that's why this deal's not done. Is it going to go through next week? Come on. Is it going through? Day dot. Boom. Berta gets his man. Arteta's happy. It's another guy coming in from Spain. Is that what's happening, or is this just going to carry on all the way through the summer?
See, I was literally thinking about this earlier because I was just like, Liverpool, I know they've been talking to Verts for about 3.5 weeks and whatever, and it's not like a quick thing, but they like agreed the deal fully about 3-4 days ago and what they confirmed in tonight. And I was just like, we won't do that though. I was like, because apparently his medical is done and he has signed the paper. I was like, I literally said this earlier. I was like, I want him to be confirmed at least by Monday night. But I just don't think it's going to happen. I think we won't see it for another 2 weeks and then he'll come in.
Do you know what the worst thing is as well? That even when it's done, you know it's going to be like a month before they do the proper announcement as well. So everyone's going to know about it. We're going to be sat there weeks on end going, come on, just announce the deal. Do the video, and then it's most likely going to be some real just drab video. Unlike the, like the kit releases, we get like quite good kit release videos. I think sometimes the one with the fish and chip shop. Do you know what I mean? I love that one, but I just feel it's going to be essentially a video of like maybe a Liverpool fan singing Zubi Dooby Doo, and then it'll just be him going. That's it. We'll wait 4 weeks for that.
I do think that, like, it's funny you say that because I think the best video package we've had in the last couple of years is low-key the Sterling one, which they obviously made in like 2 hours. I think that actually used to hype me up so much. And then obviously, like, everything else didn't hype me up about him. I wonder if because the rumors are as well, like, Kepa's going to be the next one in. Apparently, that's like getting closer. Do you think they might just announce them together and be like, oh, look, it's Kepa as well, guys? They're both Spanish. It's like, oh, no.
Oh, my God. Like, we're at such a point where we have to save money, even on announcements. They just put out a tweet. That's it.
Well, we did that with, like, the Timber one. Like, Timber just came.
Yeah, we did.
Because he came in with Havertz, and everyone was like, why have I asked to sign in? And Rice, it was like the same week. And he kind of just got like soft launch. Like I remember the video of him coming in. It's like it's him and Havertz. He's like on the end of the video. Like, oh, and I'm like, oh, he says like, and I swear he didn't even get an interview for ages as well. Like, and Timber was like soft launch stuff out, like just in the middle. Like,
oh, do you know what? It'd be so good if the announcement video is Zubimendi there, and it just finishes, and then we have like a Colo Torre moment of Kepa just kind of like in the side. Just like around the corner. And that's it. They don't even say his name. Don't reference him. Nothing. That's it. Oh, Kepa's here as well. Oh, man. I mean, Stig, thanks again, mate. This man, every single week, Reece, he is here. He is on X. I love it, Stig. Maybe the Zubimendi deal will trigger a ketchup effect. I mean, I'm hoping so. We'll wait and see, but... I love the ketchup effect. And then just Tom, evening, mate. Hope we're well. I'm very well, mate. Just burnt to a crisp, as I said earlier. How many players do you think we'll have in by the United game? Oh, I'm going to check the date on it. Let's have a little look.
Them games. I was saying this earlier to my dad. I was saying that like. Now that them games have come out, that is more of an incentive to sign players because of how hard that schedule is, especially United away first game. So they have to get people with. I've said this. We need to have at least, I say, the forwards done, or the two main forwards done before we go on pre-season, or at least in the first week of pre-season, so they can come into the tour. Because if we don't, they're going to take ages to get involved, especially like a Šeško. Like I don't know. I don't really want to wait for that.
To be honest. Even if we get Šeško in, I think Havertz starts that game. And it's a very typical Arteta thing to do. You know, you look at David Raya when he came in and Ramsdale still played. And it was obvious that Raya long-term was going to be the man. Looks like August 17th is the United game. Transfer window closes on the 1st of September. Isn't that nice? like that it actually closed on the
That's
right day.
that's
I
that's
just,
pretty far, isn't it? I didn't realize that's still 2
yeah.
months away.
I mean, at the same time though, I just wish the season started and the window closed. I hate this overlapping thing, and I get it's slightly to do with all the different leagues and how it works out, but just could the leagues all just start on the same date? September, they all start, and the last day of August, windows close. Just make it nice and simple for us. But I reckon we get Zubimendi in before then. We get one attacker. I don't know who. Like I think the Sesko deal rolls on right away, right down to the wire. No. The
I think a
Sesko deal
winger.
goes through, the winger.
Yeah, I
Maybe
think the
like a
winger's gonna take
Rodrigo, like
long.
last week,
I feel
or
like it's gonna take long to get a winger in. I feel like that would be like end of transfer window thing.
yeah, Kepa.
Oh,
So I reckon maybe 3, and then we get like a bizarre, like another player, maybe like a João Hato or
I
someone
could
later
see
on, and
Hato
a
coming in
winger
now.
later on. So I'm hoping for like 6 transfers in total, 6 or 7. But I think we only get 3 done by then.
You think about that. That's in 2 months' time, basically, and then after that, you've only got like a week and a half left. I would hope that we've done like 4 or 5 of our signs before the season starts.
Mm,
I think pre-season, I would probably say a little less. I don't know. It depends how quick that we're moving. I feel like Arsenal do have the ability just to go full throttle and buy loads of players within a week. We just,
yeah.
especially with a Berta involved, but obviously, I feel like we're just building up to that slowly. That's why it's been long. But like obviously you were just talking about like you don't expect like a Sheshko to start. And I've seen some people say that about Zubimendi and people saying that I don't expect Zubimendi to start when he comes in. I mean, now with Partey potentially leaving, we'll get onto that. I think it's probably more likely, but I feel like Zubimendi's going to come into the team and start straight away
I
anyway.
do.
I felt like that he is not a player that needs that time, I don't think, especially because he's going to have a pre-season with us in a long time. If he's
Mm.
fit, I think he'll start like all the top games at the start of the season. So yeah, good luck at Old Trafford. Oh, he's played there, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it didn't go great for him, let's be honest. But yeah, I think he's such an Arteta system player. I don't think the plan was keeping Partey this long. So I think Zubimendi comes straight in. But like I said earlier, I think Sesko would be a player that we take time with. And then maybe if we got someone like a Rodrigo that comes in late, so maybe he doesn't start the first week. He'll be at the game, like watching a game. Do you know what I mean? He'll be there in the crowd, get a little bit of hype up, and then a week later he'll start the game. But I don't know. I love this from Just Tommy. By the way, he's just said it's exactly what they'll do. Sweep Kepa under the carpet. I love that. And morning, Bradley. I mean, what time is it for me now? It's 5 to 9 at night, mate. Good morning to you. 5:50 in Australia. Waking up to the Zubimendi news is fantastic. Well, let's kind of go through it, Reece. So I've added in here a bit of Romano from the 10th of May. So here we go. Arsenal agreed to sign Zubimendi from Real Sociedad. Arsenal set to trigger the €60 million release clause. He's agreed to sign a long-term deal and formal steps to follow. He will become the first signing of the season. And it does look like that's coming to fruition because last night he put in... Jeez, Reece, how loud are you typing, mate?
Was that loud?
That was so loud.
I don't know why. Sorry,
guys. If you are watching this stream and you've just had your ears blown off by just typing and doing,
how did you hear that? I didn't even.
so loud. Anyway, looks like the paperwork is done. The fee is going to be about the €65 million, but paid in installments. So it looks like we're paying about $5 million more than originally muted. But the installments are the main thing. I think it's such good business. In terms of sixes in world football right now, especially with Rodri having been out, he's right up there. And for what Arteta wants, ball retention, I think he actually changes how we attack low blocks and mid blocks as well. I think he changes that. It might give us an opportunity to kind of create a false... I don't know what the best way of putting it, a false transition attack and, go back to him to then release the players. And I think it's such a good signing. Such a good signing. I mean, so Reece, you're doing a documentary about him at the moment. Do you want to talk to everyone about that? Come on, tell everyone about the documentary. Come on.
It's just a mini doc. It isn't going to be too long, but little more edited style video about Zubimendi. It's my guy. I spoke about him being like Sergio Busquets, like what 19 months ago. I think it was in like November 2023. I did a video about him being the new Busquets. That was when we were first linked, and I remember like looking at his tapes then and being like, okay, I can see a lot with this guy. I don't think last season Sociedad had the best season. I think the season he had 2 years ago was better for him individually as well than last year, but I think the team was awful as well, so it's not really his fault. I just think, yeah, like it's what I keep saying to people. Like, I do think obviously the hype of this transfer has been completely shot to the floor. I mean, here we go. We got on May the 10th. We got rumors that we were going to sign him in January.
Yeah,
and
I
it's
was going to
June
add
the
that.
20th. And it's like now we've got oh yeah, now he's actually signed. And it's like it's been this is like the longest transfer like we know is gonna happen for. I've never had a transfer like 6 months basically where I've been in the motion that he's gonna sign. I've been doing videos talking about him and how looks like he's finally coming in. And I think like for the release clause, it's about 55 million pounds. And obviously 51 million pound release because we would pay a little bit more. I think for that fee, that is like insane money for a midfielder like him.
Agreed.
The defensive midfield market is really expensive. I always say that I actually think there's a lot of good defensive midfielders out there. So like we'll get onto it. But that's why I'm not too concerned about other people there. I think you can get a good DM that can play certain ways. But for that price, you think about like Caicedo, the Baleba price, which will have to be like the Rice price, like Rodri, like these world-class players cost like so much money nowadays. So to get a player of his caliber, and like Arteta's going to love him because he's just going to give us more control. We are going to be better against low blocks and mid blocks, which I do think is a whole reason why you're seeing links to like Šeško, Zubimendi, Rodrigo. Like I think that is clearly where they want to improve. And I think it genuinely, like, we are going to be a lot better in them situations. If we're going to be better in maybe the bigger team situations, like from a recovery standpoint, we'll have to debate. But I do think, like, we will just be much better with him in the team. And, like, I've seen, like, already there's a lot of people going at him, and we probably know the reasons why at the end of the day, because of who he's replacing. But I just like don't care about this tribalistic stuff. Like at the end of the day, we've got like a world-class player here, and he will be given time. And it's funny because everyone's been disrespecting him for ages, and then he has them really good games for Spain, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, he actually is class." And it's like when you actually watch this guy play, you start realizing that this guy will change the club. So I'm very happy.
Yeah, I love the confidence to take the ball under any situation. Like you watch him for Spain, and so often, like especially with Yamal and Nico Williams and the way they play, they go so high, so wide. Everyone just deserts him. You know, you've essentially got their back four. You've got Zubimendi and no one else. Like there's such a huge gap between defense and attack, and he's just kind of on his own. And when he doesn't get the ball, he's irate. And I love that. The fact that he is demanding the ball in those tight spaces, and he's so confident on the ball, and he's going to create so much more space for all of our players. I think you'll see a even better Declan Rice as well with him there. But and that as much as he's got certain kind of deficiencies, I think Rice more or less makes up for every single one of them. And when you got Myles Lewis-Skelly there as well in the mould, coming inside, it's going to be so difficult for teams. It really is. I'm really excited about it. I think he's a fantastic addition to the squad. Like his ability to set tempo, his ability to lead, the fact that he gives us completely different like faces. And I think he is Arteta's player. We're almost at a point now where we've got two players in every single position that Arteta has wanted. And that's going to make a huge difference. It really is. But he seems like a really nice lad again. You know, another player that joins the squad and kind of joins in the right personality way. Do you know what? I saw Alex last night from the Different Knock and Cannon podcast, and he was saying about players cleaning their room. This is where the Cannon podcast goes quite often. I know we usually keep a bit more on task than them. Just like in terms of like, you know, like discipline. Is there anyone in our squad now that you worry about their discipline? Because I just can't think of any. And when you start looking at, teams like Chelsea, United, even like, Newcastle, I look and there's certain players that I think, I can imagine you're a bit of a pain, like outside of football, you're a bit of a pain. Maybe in training, you're a bit of a pain. Even like at halftime, we've got such a nice balance now of like players who want to win, but then players who don't kind of rock the boat because of the way they are, if that makes sense. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. I think I agree. Like, I don't think we really have any of them sort of people, but we still have like strong personalities in there. And I think a lot of people, when they look at Arsenal and they look at maybe there is a lot of emphasis on not getting in certain players because of their like stuff out of football. I do think that because the squad is so like, I don't know, close to each other, everyone seems to get along. That can be infectious in many ways. And like a player who is maybe not like a Liao who's like really certified in himself and has been at that level, but we'll speak about like smaller players like who can come in as backup. I would assure if they want to learn, they will learn with the rest of the team. I do want to say as well on Zubimendi, like I said this on Twitter, I think that like one of the best things he will bring is not only that discipline, but it's kind of he has a lot of discipline in positioning, and this is like what Jorginho did very well. And I do worry a little bit about Arsenal's players, especially the younger ones, in their positional discipline. I think Myles struggles sometimes. I get his rolls hard off the ball, and I think the reason why he fouls a little bit is because he's trying to make up for that. Calafiori is a prime example of this. He like will go into the wrong. He'll do mental things, which are really good sometimes. That's what you get with him. He's a chaos player. But sometimes he'll just be not in the right position and then he'll just take people out because he has to make up for that deficiency. Partey is another one that's been like this for a while now. So I think just having a solid base in there to have someone that will be in at least the positions we know he can be in the right positions and he will never give away the ball. It's just like class. And I mean, I don't know if you want to speak any more about Zubimendi, but I feel like that was we could do a little segue here because it kind of works a little bit.
Go on then, go for it, mate. Just keep going. You're on a roll. Keep going. Go on. Let's go. Let's go.
I was gonna say, like, if we're talking about like discipline and like we want to have good eggs in the club, you go for that. I was gonna talk about the next slide, but
okay. Oh, yeah. No. Well, okay. When you said good eggs, I was like, oh, I don't know. Go for it.
But yeah, like obviously there's a lot of links to Noni Madueke. And obviously, I think one of the major issues when you talk to Chelsea fans about Madueke is actually his attitude. He's been kicked out of training like 3 or 4 times now. And I think he had similar issues in the Eredivisie as well, but I'm not sure like what's going on there. He's had like issues apparently with his training levels and not being there. But every time you watch this guy, like, I don't know, like sometimes I watch players and they try things and they don't quite come off, but I see the effort there. It's one of the reasons why I like Garnacho because, yes, he does some stupid things. He's not amazing, but he just tries things. And I wish Arsenal had more players sometimes that try to actually do things. And Madueke, for me, is one of them players. Like, he's always so, like, good. Like, he tries his best. He always just try and run at people. He's trying to get shots away a lot. He shoots quite a lot as well, which is something we need. He's a good dribbler, but he's intelligent in the box. He's a decent crosser at the byline. Obviously, I know a lot of people don't like him, and it's that perception, I guess, from Chelsea, their club, and also other players that, from the Premier League. I think people's perception in England, at least, is very different for Premier League players. Like, I look at Premier League players how I look at every player in the world. And in fact, I put them a lot higher because the league is, I think, the hardest league in the world. But I get that people will be critical of the fact that they've seen him a lot more and they've seen his weaknesses a lot more. But the same is not really it's not really the same when you talk about a Serie A player where everyone just talks about the positives and not the negatives. So I think like when I look at Madueke, like he is someone that has been kind of described as a bad egg, not someone that's had the best training methods. Enzo Maresca hasn't particularly got along with him, which is one of the reasons why apparently he's up for sale in the first place. And it's definitely not on his performances on the pitch. Like his performances on the pitch are always decent. I think compared to a lot of Chelsea wingers, he's one of the better ones. And like
out of the 500 that they have,
there's 6 million wingers that they have. that's so it's actually quite a big thing for us. We've only got like 3, but yeah. So I just think like I don't know if he was the third option, and this third option thing is becoming I don't know less and less concrete as the summer goes on. I'm starting to realise. I keep saying to people we can't be picky because I've mentioned I think 3 players who could be like a backup. I've mentioned Bakayoko, Madueke, and Kubo, and I've had people like be very upset about all 3 of them, and I'm like, well, they are our 3rd choice. They're going to be behind Saka. Like we can't be too picky. We need to pick someone who's cheaper. So
Yeah, I mean, number one, if we got him and Kepa, I can imagine the narrative, can't you? Like, oh, we're just becoming Chelsea's B team. Like, you could just see it a mile off. I think the rumor of this actually indicates more than him coming to the club. I think it's more about Ethan Winery and possibly the idea of him playing in the 10 role rather than being Saka's backup. I have a feeling that might be where this is coming from. He definitely gives something that we don't have in terms of acceleration and like quick bursts. He's quite an exciting player at times, quite a versatile player. He's not what I want. If I'm looking at that, that 3rd attacker, and we've talked about it quite a few times, a player like Matoma, I think that's a player that you could probably get in that is a bit more efficient, is more experienced than him. You could probably get on a cheaper deal, possibly.
you really think that?
I think. Well, I think his contract's going down, and I don't know. I have a feeling there is a deal to be done there. Kubo's another one we've talked about.
Love Kubo.
There are other players. So, like, for me, Madueke's not the one, but I do find it interesting that we are linked with someone that could come in as like a different profile winger. Ryan, meanwhile, said, bottom line, he's crap.
I mean, personally as well, I think I would rather have a younger backup, or like he is the same age as Saka. I think he's 23, but like Kubo's like 22, 23. Bakayoko's like 22, that 21, that sort of age. Like I feel like I would personally want a bit of a backup that's a little younger than someone that's like because people talk about Kudus. Like I'd love Kudus, but like where's he going to fit into the team? He is versatile, but is he going to be willing to sit on the bench and be a backup for like 4 different spots? I don't know. Is that really even an upgrade from starting at West Ham? I mean, I don't even know. I mean, he'd probably want to come, but it'd be an expensive deal for him to sit on the bench. I feel like if you can get these deals for cheaper, they kind of make a little bit more sense, I think, sometimes. But obviously, the market is ever changing. I think, especially the winger market. Like, if we get Rodrigo, I'm not really bothered. But now we don't know what's going on with Rodrigo, and that situation's definitely up in the air. The winger situation's weird. Like, we're going to have to get multiple wingers in probably. And I don't know who on the market is going to be that cheap at the end of the day. So,
yeah, like I think at the beginning, I thought personally it was going to be a straight swap. Well, Martinelli or Trossard will leave, and then another left winger will come in, more of a natural touchline winger, like a Nico Williams. That's what I thought was going to happen. And as it goes on, I think it's more of a market opportunity player that's going to come in. And then it might even be the case that we keep both Trossard and Martinelli. And Trossard's that versatile winger that can actually play across the front line. He can play in the 9 role if we need him to. And then Martinelli is the backup or the player that comes on when we're in a transition game or, we're chasing a goal. But I don't know. It's going to be really interesting. I genuinely don't know who we're going to get. Whereas if you asked me last week, I would have gone, well, it looks like we're going to go for Rodrigo. If you asked me last summer, it would have been Nico Williams all day. But I just don't know where it's going. Great question here, actually, for you, Reece. So Basher, who always comes up with wicked questions. I've had a couple of chats with Basher actually, and the comments for TCP. He's saying, any thoughts on us bringing in another 6 just 2 years after breaking the bank for Rice? We didn't buy Rice to play as an 8, and I can't help but question Arteta's player selection process. He's actually added another bit here as well. He said, just wanted to add that it was the case for Havertz too, who was brought to play as he's saying a 6, but I think he means in the 8 role.
I think Havertz is like valid there. Like, I think maybe his idea of Havertz was just genuinely like, I want a tall player that is like going to get in the box sometimes and can play multiple roles maybe. Because that left centre mid role, I actually think if you play Havertz in it now is not as bad as like people make out to be. The last few games he's played there, he's been absolutely like fine and been pretty good. So I don't think that's really a concern. Like the Palace game when he played there, for instance, he was incredible. So I don't really think like it depends of who we play. And I still think I think at the start when Havertz first came in, it didn't make much sense, and Havertz was not very confident, familiar with the role. But I think now like that kind of box crushing role may suit him a little bit. But I get that. With Rice, I really don't like. I think from our perception, like when our Rice was signed, I thought he was going to come in to be a 6, and obviously he started as a 6 because Havertz was in that 8 role. But the more that I watch and the more that is going on, like he did move Rice relatively, like when Partey was fit, he moved Rice relatively quite quickly in like a double pivot and then the 6 and then the 8 role. And I spoke to a few people about this, and a lot of people have said that they think that Arteta's plan was always to put Rice in the 8 because they think that realistically we looked at what he's good at. He's good at carrying, he's good at like progressing the ball. And I'm gonna say this, like, and some people might not like this. I don't think Rice is like the most insane passer ever. I think he's a good passer. I don't think he's like world class.
Dead ball, I'd argue
ball,
world
he's really
class,
good.
but
I think
I
it's
know
like
what you mean.
a lone 6. I don't think he does enough, in my opinion. He's not brave enough on the ball. Maybe that's a tactics thing. Maybe that's an Arteta thing. But in my opinion, he's very hesitant at making passes between the lines a lot often. And he's not really very good at spreading his play. Like, yet again, not a central access player. He loves going down the wings a lot. Doesn't really like bother with that whole central access, which a lot of our players haven't really gone there for that. And I think like maybe that was the idea. Maybe he did bring Rice in for a 6, and then maybe he watched him a lot more and realized actually you're not going to give us enough in the passing. Maybe Partey was just there still, and he thought it actually makes more sense to play Partey there and then you as an 8 because we have no other options. Maybe that was the way that they decided. So maybe it is a case, and it is definitely like a lot of money. I don't think Zubimendi is in today's market. Like I don't think £50 million or 55
No, I think
million
that's for him. I feel that's a really good deal for that amount.
I don't think that's like breaking the bank anymore. Like I've seen people last year, like I saw loads of YouTubers talk about how Marino was a flop because we spent 30 mil on him. And like realistically, that is a lot of money for a backup player, but that is kind of how these cost now. Like Nico Gonzalez went to Man City. He is not going to start in that defensive midfield and probably not going to start in left centre mid with Reinders coming in. Spent £52 million in him. I know he's younger, but it's like, is he the backup? I guess he is. He's a squad player. So I think that's kind of where money is. If we'd spent around like 80 to 90 mil on like Zubimendi, then I think I would be more in agreement with that. And I do think it is weird, the whole Rice thing, because I think now we have to play a double pivot. I'm kind of like this whole Rice 8 thing is good and really good against certain teams, especially like the bigger teams when you can press them. But against smaller teams in low blocks and mid blocks, it's not really a very good idea. He's not good enough in tight areas to really like dribble his way out or do any central progression that way. So he just kind of gets in the box and waits for a cross, which I don't like. I think it forces us to cross the ball a lot more in them situations. So I'm hoping that we become a double pivot now with Zubimendi and platform the 10. If that is a Winery, if that is an Odegaard, whoever that is, if someone comes in, like I just want them to be platformed in a way that makes it better, I think.
I mean, we weren't going to go into it, but seeing as Bash has kind of highlighted it, Arteta and I guess the whole Arsenal recruitment team has been really interesting because you talked about Havertz and then Rice going from the 6 to the 8, and it's kind of circumstantial in a way because with Jesus' injury and then him being completely unavailable, Havertz going up top, Rice coming in was the obvious idea. Rice going into the 8, Partey into the 6. You could argue that's what happened and it was a natural thing and circumstantial. We had to do it. If you start going through the team recruitment-wise, so Ben White brought in as a centre-back. Was the idea really for him to go as right-back? You might argue Jurriën Timber was bought to go in as left-back. I mean, I think his debut in the Community Shield was at left-back, wasn't it? I don't know if that was the actual idea with him. Declan Rice as a 6, Havertz as an 8, Marino as an 8, ended up as a 9. There's so many of these players that you start looking at. Was Trossard bought as a false 9, or was he actually bought as a left winger? I know he's versatile, but was there an actual plan for him? And you could go through the team. There's probably quite a lot of these players. I wonder if, like Calafiori, was he bought as a left back, or was the idea that he's eventually going to come in as left centre back and we just play him as left back for a little while until we get some experience, and then we bring him inside and maybe move Gabriel on at some point? It's really strange that there's arguments for so many of these players, like one way or the other. I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but I feel that sometimes our recruitment has been less about the system and more about the player themselves, and just getting good quality and players with high potential, and then we can use them, in multiple ways, and the kind of multifaceted tactics.
It's all about like profiles, isn't it? Like I think us out of most clubs really focus more on profiles. I mean, there's this thing that you could do on Football Manager called Moneyball, and it's basically you take all the stats out of the game from like individual like penalty taken 20, and you literally just take their graphs from the season and make transfers that way. And sometimes I think Arsenal do the same thing. We look at certain things like physical like blocks, we look at duels that they have, and we pick players that are versatile and have like a big enough platform. It can be taken as negative and positive. Negative in the fact like, is our profile in that good? Why is everyone getting moved around? But then positive in the fact we're finding versatile players that are good in multiple positions. I think like someone like Calafiori, to me, equally, they probably looked at him and went, you can play left back, you can play centre back, and you should be all right in either because of your level. And I think like we will see that the more he plays. I think you're going to see the same, even with like Myles coming through. Like in my eyes, I'm not sure if I particularly like Myles. Yeah.
What's that?
No,
Hang on.
wait,
You don't particularly like Myles?
No, I meant in the lone six. That's what I was going to say.
Okay,
I'm not sure because I was about to say that.
I thought this was going to be our last episode then. I was like, geez, this is going to hit the roof now.
Because I was looking at the slides and I was like, wait, actually, the next thing we're going to talk about.
Oh, yeah, let's go. Yeah, keep going. Go on, go for it then. Yeah, you're segueing here.
But yeah, like when I look at Myles, I'm not sure if I like him as a lone six. Like, I think he can do it, and I think he'll be great there. But I want him to be able to run up the pitch and carry it. And I just feel like as a lone six, he can, but he's still limited. Like, he has to be careful.
I prefer him in the 8. Like a 6 or 8.
That's what I'm thinking too. That is literally my thought. I think in the left centre mid 8, he would be such a good understudy for Declan Rice. He doesn't have to play every game. Like, I think people need to stop thinking that these like kids need to play every game. I know Myles has played a lot this season and he's playing for England. I know Ethan's played a decent amount, but these guys don't have to play every game. We've got loads of games. We saw the injuries that we had. I would be happy if they came in for a lot of games, and they could still play around 2,000 minutes this season. We wouldn't even worry about it. So I think that like Myles, when I look at him, left centre mid backup for Rice right now. I know we've got Marino there, and this is where it gets difficult because it's like, what are we going to do with him? But I can't imagine Marino staying at the club too much longer. Maybe a year and a half, 2 years. Like, I feel like that was a short-term signing, not a long-term. Obviously, he is going to be like 30 soon. So I think Myles in the future can be that
young.
Backup. Well, yeah, but not if you're Arsene Wenger, because then you only get a 1-year deal. So, you get them out. That's what he said. But yeah, like with Myles, I'm like, I think this is like we'll talk about the other guy in a bit. But like, I think if people are moving away from the club, like it makes more sense to buy Yoel Hato or like who I've spoke about a lot recently, and the links seem to be ramping up a lot. Because we've liked him for years, and it's like, well, if he's going to play left back, everyone's like, well, where's the minutes for Myles? Myles can play left centre mid, and I actually think I prefer him in left centre. I think in left centre mid, Myles would be class. Like, I actually
think he'd be so good.
I think if he develops there, he could be one of the best in the world there, and I think that's what we should aim to do in the future, in my opinion.
I mean, we do need to start looking at the game. Like, I'm awful for it because of my age, and it used to be very much you have like a starting 11. And then you have some extra players, 2 or 3 of them are good. The rest they never get to play. It's such a big squad game now. It really is. We're kind of blessed. If we get Zubimendi in, you have got very good 6 options in Rice, Zubimendi, possibly Thomas Partey. And then if you look at the left 8, then you've got Declan Rice as the kind of more obvious choice. Havertz, if you need box crashing, like against a mid-block. Aston Villa was a good example. I think he actually had quite a good game a couple of years ago when we played against them, albeit we didn't get the victory. But I think he was effective and he was good at, getting in those spaces on the blind runs. You've got Marino, who gives you, again, something different, something physical. I think someone put it here earlier. I think it was Jonathan. Let me just double check. I think Jonathan. Let me go back. Yeah, here we go. Said Mikel wants a tall, box-crashing left centre midfielder. Havertz, Marino, now Rice. Yeah. So we have got like really good options now. And at left back, if you get João Hato in, you've then got him there. You've got Calafiori, who doesn't have to come back again from injury and rush himself back. He can start to gradually pick up minutes. Myles can play minutes at left back and not be one of these players. And we see it all the time with Arsenal. Young players who play far too many minutes because we're forced to. Bukayo Saka was forced to. There's no way we could have not played him because he was our best player. Even, he burst onto the scene and he genuinely was our best player at the club. And we need to be thinking more, long term. How can we get these players good minutes, good experience without running them into the ground? And that might be our way. I think the renewal will get done. We talked in the past about him and Ethan and, who will get paid more and do they get paid the same? I think it all depends. If the club view him as a left back or a midfielder, because as a midfielder, his stock is much higher. Like you can essentially say, I think he's going to be a world class midfielder. He should be getting a lot more. Because it seems like if you're playing left back, you're kind of capped at the amount that you can be asking for and the amount you can be paid. I don't know if you agree with that, but
yeah, I think this summer we'll see what the club think. I think if Hato comes in, then in my eyes they see him as a midfielder, and I think deep down I believe that the club see him as a midfielder. Like, I do think he is great at left back, and that obviously should be noted. But I do think some of maybe his weaknesses in his game are like. I don't think he's ill-disciplined at all. I think that's a completely weird stigma that even certified journalists have spoke about. I've seen people go, "Oh yeah, he's not in my top 15 because he's not disciplined enough yet," and I'm like he's literally got one red card properly.
Well, there's always, I see that on X and YouTube and everything. People going like, "Oh, he's got 4 red cards." I'm like, well, hang on, 1 red card was rescinded and he's only had 1 other.
And he slipped in his red card as well against West Ham. It's it happens. Like Granit Xhaka used to get loads of red cards all the time. It just happens sometimes with these sort of players. I think with him, I think sometimes we've seen it when it's sometimes he has to defend out wide. He can be a little bit aggressive. And I think as an aggressive defensive midfielder or midfielder, central midfielder, that is fine. I feel like Rice is like that. Sometimes Partey was like that. He's nippy and a fighter, and he'll slide you out if you get there. But the problem is you don't want to do that in these sort of wide areas anymore. And I think with Myles being there because of his position, it kind of limits him a little bit. And obviously we love his running and stuff. And I think in a left centre mid, he could just run with the ball anyway. Unfortunately, what does that do for Rice and then the double pivot that we've been talking about? But we can play in different ways. We can have a double pivot in a game with Rice and Zubimendi. And if we're failing to break teams down, just bring on Myles, put him in left centre mid, go to the lone pivot of Zubimendi, and just play like that. And we hater we haven't really spoke about him, but I've seen a lot of people talk about him today because when I looked at his clips again last week before I did my video, and all I noticed was I was like, he is actually quite good going forward. I know it's the Eredivisie, but I was like, he doesn't want to go forward. He's very slow, and I've seen a lot of Dutch fans say this, that when he picks the ball up, he's quite not intent of doing things. He slows things down way too much.
Laboured.
Yeah, and I know people get annoyed about that. I know Arteta will love that, but I know some people would get annoyed with that. But he's actually in the final third. I think there's so much potential there. He's got a good cross on him. He's a decent overlapper when he actually makes the effort to. And it's not even effort. It's just confidence. He's just a bit doesn't want to. He's too scared. And I think, like, realistically, like, if he was to come there, he could easily help with that. It does kind of negate a little bit from Myles in if he was to play with him. I think in that left centre mid, probably work more with a Rice. But then you've got Calafiori anyway. Like, we've got options. I think if that happens, it's the main thing.
Yeah, 100%. Like, yeah, Myles isn't going to Real Madrid. I'm putting that out there now. It's just not happening.
They just signed a left back for 50 mil.
Yeah, I think this whole thing, it's just weird. The whole Real Madrid like media, it's just bizarre. It's bonkers. I don't know how they do it, but they do. I'm going to say as well, big up Max. If any of you don't subscribe to Max, go check Max out and go check his thumbnails out. Like, inspiration, Max. Absolute inspiration, mate. Like, yeah, I'll give it up. I am not the thumbnail god that some people seem to think I am. Max is like talent personified. Like, it's nice to have you on, mate. This next one though, I'm a bit disappointed in a way. Like, I'm really pleased for Carlos Cuesta moving on. I think it's fantastic for him. I just feel like, is it like a year or two too soon for us to lose him? You know, I think it's really good in some respects that you get new people and new ideas. And Alex Ferguson, I hated the guy, but he was a master of completely, you know, changing his backroom staff and getting different voices in his ear, different ideas. And I don't know if this is too soon, because Arteta really hasn't had his own team. You know, this is still his first job. It's mental, but nevertheless, he is leaving. So if you guys haven't seen this, he put out a, I think it was an Instagram post actually, saying thank you not only to everyone at Arsenal, but also Arteta himself. There was another one. Fabrizio Romano broke it, which was a little bit of a weird one, because I don't think it's like huge news. Do you know what I mean? Like, if it was like a Nico Williams move into Arsenal, I can understand having to break the news real quick. But
it is a Serie A. Fabrizio has that stuff on lock. Anything that happens in that country, he's unlocking it. He's on it. He's on it. I love Cuesta. I don't want him to go. I don't know. He was like, I mean, like, we obviously don't know as much about everything about all the backroom stuff, but what like I've heard about Cuesta is like how intense he is. We saw it in the documentary when he was speaking to Ben White, was it? And he was talking to him, and that was cool. But also, like, he is 29. Like, as someone who's 24, he is like within, I don't know, a realistic age of me to actually think about. I realistically, like I can't imagine myself as a 30-year-old, but I could, like, and over that, but I can imagine myself in his age. And I don't know, it's like, it's kind of fun to see how he came up and he like worked worked really hard to get to the level he did, but in like a modern way, which I really like. Last year he was linked to Norwich, and I really wanted him to go to Norwich because I would have been able to watch him all the time. And unfortunately, Norwich decided not to get him. They got a Norwegian guy in, and he's already been sacked. So they should have just got Cuesta in, really. He was clearly a better choice. But at 29 years old, to get a Serie A job is incredible. Parma have so many good youngsters as well. I'm going to be super excited to see what philosophies he takes from Arteta. Let's see if he is like conservative. Let's keep the ball, because like,
is he going to be pragmatic or not? I don't know.
I don't know for Parma if you can be. Like, he might just have to be a little bit, like, he's going to have to be like low blocky defensive and then counter a little bit, given like the team he's at. But I don't know. It's going to be so weird to see if it works. But like now he's in the manager game. Like, as soon as you get one job like at a level of the Serie A, you always get considered for other jobs, even if you don't do a good job. That's just how it is. Yeah. So like, it's just great to see. Like, obviously we need to get a replacement in. I love Arteta's little like team that he's built, because like you said, like, he didn't have any like friends. Like, you see Pep Guardiola go to all these clubs.
He was a loner. He had no friends.
Well, because it
was just him and Pep.
He took a few people from Man City, but obviously it's going to be hard to convince City over Pep. And even like Jova was at City one point and then at Brentford another. But eventually we've built it up, and he's like got this like core team that has really become like a part of the club. And it's unfortunate we've lost one of them key members, but you know, it's always a opportunity to improve at the end of the day. And like, it's good that he's going off to do his own career, 'cause this was always going to happen. Like last year, he was really close to going to Norwich, of what I heard. He was in the like top 2, top 3 contenders, so he was always going to get like a job like this eventually. So it is what it
Do you
is.
think like a Jorginho comes in a year time or something? I could
Well,
see
the
something.
rumors are Santi Cazorla, in it. That's the rumors,
That
but
is
I've heard that he doesn't speak English very well. So I can't remember
really.
like. Well, yeah, this is the thing. I was like, wait, I can't even remember. Like, did he like? I don't
I'm
know, but I've
sure
heard
I've
that
seen loads of interviews with him. Like,
apparently it's like I don't know, like he maybe he's like forgot a lot of it, but apparently he's not the best of it at the moment, so that's a concern. So I
that's
don't know what's gonna
interesting.
happen. He's also
I mean,
still playing, but I think he's retiring this month. I think that's the whole plan. He
mm,
played his last game for Real Oviedo, helped him in the playoff semi. I think it's called that free kick, and I think he's ending his career like this month. So
yeah.
that's why we could get him in.
I mean, what a player, number one. Cazorla is unbelievable player. But just like he just seems like an infectious person. You know, you meet certain people, and as soon as you start talking to them, whatever they're talking about, you're enthusiastic about. He just seems like that type of person. Like I can imagine him being like the best uncle ever. You know, like, oh, it's Uncle Santi. Like I get to go around. Like I can imagine he's just like constant fun. But at the same time, he's obviously got his head screwed on. For him to be able to get to the point where he was that two-footed, that's not just because he's natural talent. That is repetition, repetition, repetition. Unbelievable technique. I remember as well, I don't know if you remember this, when Arteta first came in, the rumour was Xabi Alonso was going to be his kind of number 2. And I remember some newspapers putting out being like, this is going to be the most handsome 1 and 2 in football history. Lo and behold, Xabi Alonso goes somewhere else and becomes a fantastic manager. He's
at Real Madrid.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Like, youngest manager now in the top 5 leagues, Carlos Cuesta. And again, Fabregas is in the top 10 as well, 38 years old.
We're actually taking
he's
over
older than me, to be
Italy.
fair.
We're taking over Italy. We're actually taking it over. The whole league's just going to be full of like Arsenal players. Jorginho will go there as well after he's finished at Flamengo. That's it's just great. Also, Jorginho did beat Chelsea today for Flamengo, so that's great. That's great to see. That's our guy against his old club. I mean, I just think like I don't know. There's so many coaches out there, and I'm actually really glad from like a career perspective, not even just like Arsenal or like football. I'm just glad that like younger people are starting to get opportunities in these
Yeah, I
sort
agree
of
with that.
presidented jobs. I feel like for so long in football, especially in the management sector, it was the same managers getting the same jobs. Like Jose Mourinho has been washed for about 7 or 8 years, like probably over a decade, and he was still getting big jobs. Like I know he won the Conference League at Roma, and I know a lot of Roma fans appreciate him there. I went to watch a Roma game and he actually was suspended because he like tried to punch someone the game before. So I didn't even get to see him. And I watched him against, actually, funny enough, that day, it was Bologna, and their manager was obviously Thiago Motta, who's obviously Juve, and they got sacked and everything. But I watched that game, and Roma won 1-0 by an early penalty, and Bologna was so much better than them, and they were just everywhere on the pitch. And I just felt like that when I watched that live, I really thought Jose Mourinho was out of his depth here, and it's time to give it up. You know, football leaves you. And I feel like it's not just with him, it's so many older managers that like it's the same sort of idea I have with Wenger. I think Wenger was revolutionary, but by 2014, he had no idea. Like we weren't even in a structure where we had a director of football. We had him, and that was
Yep.
basically it. And it was like you need to move in the modern day. And I think finally now you see loads of teams do it now. They're picking up younger managers from random countries to give them a chance. Everyone wants that new best thing now. And that's why, like, when soon as someone like Enzo Maresca comes about, who was managed with Pep, everyone wants him. He goes to Leicester, goes to Chelsea within 2 years. So it's like, but it's good. I'm glad that like I think the football world is adapting and evolving at least in the modern way, which is good.
Means you got a couple of years to get out some mini documentaries, and then you can take over a top 5 club, mate. It'll be fine.
Well, the coaches, I'll show them all my CV, all my videos.
It's mad. If I became a manager right now, I'd still be in the top 10 youngest managers in the top 5 leagues.
See,
I'd take
still
that.
time. Still time.
Technically, I'd be in the top 4. So I'll take that. It's not going to happen, by the way, but it makes me feel so much better. I'm like the old man of YouTube, so that's perfect. I don't know, like in our squad, who do you think? Because Jorginho is an obvious person. He's just left technically, but he's an obvious person that would become a coach. Who else do you see as like a coach? Because going through the back line, I don't think anyone there. DMs is obvious. So like a Zubimendi coming in would be one, I'm sure. Someone who can read the game. I can imagine Trossard becoming one, but not a very good one. I could just imagine him being irate with players. I don't know why that comes into my head.
I've got a rogue
else?
shout. I've got a rogue shout. I feel like well, I've apparently like a lot of the team, because this question was asked to Zinchenko, and I swear someone said Odegaard. He was like, "You know nothing about football" or something. So I don't know. Maybe the team don't regard Odegaard as that sort of person.
Interesting.
I think maybe he like I don't know. I don't know actually. I feel like Odegaard is quite sometimes. I feel like that kind of goes under the radar. I think if I'm gonna say anyone, this is really rogue, and obviously it's based on like barely much that we know about these guys personally. I feel like David Raya for something
Oh,
about him. He gives me like the Arteta vibe he's quite intense, but he's very not intense. He's very focused. Every time I've seen him in any interview, he's like super focused and
yeah.
super like specific with when he talks about things. And I feel like with Raya, I feel like he could. I know goalkeepers being managers as well is like a thing that happens nowadays. So because I swear
I
that
like that.
other than Nuno, it never really happened before. But like I don't know. But I think Raya could be a good shout.
Yeah, man. I like that. I like that shout. But a player that I don't think will become a manager, Thomas Partey. Now I know, Reece, and it's okay. I know you're upset about this one. Okay. But it is Arsenal news. So ESPN put out that Thomas Partey is set to leave Arsenal now. His contract expires in June. I've been told that he can stay around the club to train regardless anyway. Charles Watts then came out and said that Zubimendi is coming in to replace him, Partey's Jorginho's replacement, which I thought was pretty obvious. And then while talks are still ongoing, Partey's camp do not want reduced wages, but Arsenal might not give that due to his age and injury record. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. This is like a flip of a coin thing. I don't think it's like he's definitely going to stay. I don't think it's definite that he's going to leave. I know you're chomping at the bit to say, get rid of him. Just go for it, mate. Go and say it. Say it.
Why is anything that Arsenal do like simple? Like genuinely, like this is another thing that is just gone. Like this is one of them things where I make like videos where I sometimes do news daily. You talk about Partey's leaving at the first, then he's staying, then he's leaving, then he's staying, and now he's leaving again. And don't we have to? I don't know if we have to make a decision because we could give him a new deal. But doesn't his contract end in 10 days or 10 or 11 days? So like. I've said this for months. I said, like, if you were going to sign Partey on a new contract, why even let it go down to the last 10 days of it anyway without a deal agreed? I don't know. And that has always made me think that Arsenal, even Arsenal, are being stupid and not really doing their due diligence of like making this happen, or they're kind of being like, oh, he wants to sign, so it's fine, we'll leave that to the last thing we need to do. Or they genuinely didn't want to sign him and have tried to soft kick him out the club without it see him like a bad thing for him. Maybe that's the reason why they've done it. It just seems such a weird situation. Like I kind of came to terms with Partey staying after all the speculation. I've been very adamant for the last 5 months that I don't think it's worth it for multiple reasons. But even the fact that he's a confusing person, just generally, like, and in an interview a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, I don't know who it was on. I think it was on a podcast or something. I think it was with his agent. He said something like, I just want to play football. And I thought, oh, fair enough. He just wants to play football where he enjoys it. And he's been going on about how he enjoys London and he loves it. As someone who enjoyed football and loved playing in London, I don't think at the age of 32 would be asking for a pay increase. Like when I heard that, I was like, okay, I just do not believe this guy in any circumstance. I thought giving this guy a reduced wages of then what he was on makes sense. Giving him more wages at the age of 32 when he's finally not been injured for a season, when we've already replaced him and he's going to be a backup, makes no sense. I don't understand in like how he thinks that is normal to request that amount of money. Like, and I've seen people say he's the best DM in the world. Like, he's good at what he's good at the end of the day, but fundamentally he is old, he is slower than he was, and he is
Mhm.
struggling. And he's been given less responsibility in attack over the last 5 months because they don't trust him, which is a worry. And he gives us less pressure on the ball. I think he'd be perfect for other teams, but for what Arsenal are trying to do right now, he isn't really that perfect. And I just don't get why he wants more money. And I think the club are right to say no. I mean, we're right in numerous reasons to not even re-sign him in the first place. And I personally have never really thought it's going to be that big of a miss um, with the market. Like Agume, everyone's talking about him, and he's our like
Yeah.
replacement. Absolutely perfect player. Like he's literally a younger version of Partey. He's probably worse in attacker, I would say, but he's a much better passer. Like he's much more at least willing to pass it down the left hand side, which Partey isn't, which is a problem I have. And I'm just like, if you can get that guy for 15 to 20 mil on 100K a week wages or 80K a week wages compared to a 200K a week wages or 220K or whatever Partey wants, I just think that's worth it. It's just such a weird situation, but I just don't understand. We should not be bending over backwards to get him at the club anymore. This should be the last straw.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think there's an argument to be made that you just keep him on the same wages if you can, keep him for another year. It's a player of experience, a player that doesn't have to learn the Premier League or the system or anything like that. And then he just ties you over for another year. I can kind of understand that. And from the club's point of view, if they're looking at it saying, well, we've already got a striker to bring in, we've got a goalkeeper to bring in, we've got another DM in Zubimendi to bring in, we've got a winger to bring in, they might be looking at, an overlapping left back or someone more versatile, or I don't know, that there's obvious things that the club need to do. So I can see the argument of saying, just keep him for another year, and next year, then bring in a player. My concern is if the wages are more, that's not a good look. Especially when you got players like Myles and Ethan that deserve contracts and will be getting them. You've got other players that are waiting for contract renewals, like William Saliba. Like, how much does he want in that case? It's just not good business. And there's always issues and there's always risks with any deal that you do, but I don't know if that's a great idea. I've got his minutes here for Arsenal. So 21-22, he played 2,000 minutes. 22 to 23, 2,400. And then 23-24 was 789 minutes. And then last season, 2,800, which ironically is the most he's ever played for us.
Like,
But
yeah, like last season he was I think like maybe sometimes I'm a bit harsh on him last season because realistically last season was probably one of his best years, other than like the early years where he was like very good. I think last year he was. I'd say last year was probably one of his most consistent years. He still had massive weaknesses that people just fail to talk about because they have agendas. But I think that in the top games specifically, he was amazing. Like I do think the City game, the Real Madrid game, like he was really good in these games. But he did get yellow carded stupidly, which cost us against PSG. Might
yep.
not cost us too much, but that did hurt. I remember he's done it loads, but I remember that when he turned around and just gave the ball away at Leicester, and then they were going to score, and then Miles cleared it off the line or like just about intercepted it, and then we ended up winning. But I'm like, no one's going to remember that because we won 2-0. But I literally remember that like so well, and I'm like, but I'm not. He's not the only one that makes mistakes. Like Rice obviously makes mistakes as well. The problem is, it's like you said, like it made sense. I think from even a laziness perspective or like a recruitment, not to give him a new deal for a year and then be like, right, you can go next year when we can actually buy a proper DM because we've got loads of other business to make. But keeping him on more wages and him like holding the club at ransom as well. His contract ends
Yeah.
in 10 days and wanting all this is just a massive thing. Like it's just too big of a burden to put on the club. And that's not even talking about all the other problems we have with Partey representing the club as well. Like there is just so much with this right now where it's like the risk that it was worth keeping him has got like is actually bigger risk to keep him. You might as well just get rid of him And we should
Mm.
have got rid of him anyway, but now it's even more certified that that has to happen. And we can just get other DMs out there. There's loads of great DMs. Like, you can just get a young one. I don't think we need a starting one. We'll probably play a double pivot anyway. And if you've got Myles there, Rice,
Yep.
Zubimendi, I think a Ribeiro, who I keep going on about, who's a centre back, he could play a DM. He could easily play a DM if he has to. Like, we've got options there. Like I'd rather just throw stuff at the wall and just get a younger player like an Ugame in and just be like, right, that he's our backup. That's it. Because party for no backup player in this club should be on over 150k a week. And sometimes
Yeah.
we say backups, and when I say backups, like people that are squad players, like versatile options that come in, aren't necessarily backups in that sense. But in my eyes, Party is a backup. Like I think Zubimendi will play in nearly every game
Yeah,
spin.
you get like rotational players who will play like every 2 or 3 games kind of thing. And then you got players who, in this case, I would presume Party would, I mean, every once in a while, League Cup games, that kind of thing. I just think he'd just be completely phased out. Yeah, completely agreement.
And
Sorry.
it's different phases. Like I think when we talk about like Timber and White, like I would rather play White against low blocks, mid blocks, but I'd
Yep.
rather play Timber in the big games where we're going to get wingers go at him. But then with like I think about that for Party, and I'm like, yes, Party is a good second ball player. He's gonna be aware, but he is still clumsy. Like I'd rather just I think Zubimendi's a better shout in all phases right now for us. He's gonna be better in low to mid blocks because he has a way better range of passing. And I don't really get where he fits into that system. And I just think like just go and get someone else. Like I've said this for months. Like, obviously, I've not wanted Pi to play for us. It's been quite clear on that. But I came to terms with it because I thought that was what the club were doing. But I don't know if this was the idea of the club in the first place. Maybe they actually did think they were going to sign him on a cheaper deal, and then he's come out at the last minute and said, "No, I want more," which seems weird that he would do that randomly within the last month because apparently they had a good working relationship.
Mm.
And I've seen people say like, "Oh, go to other teams to make them better," but like I've seen the teams he's linked to. AC Milan came out and they couldn't afford his wages. Fair enough. AC Milan are not that good. Is he going to go to Barcelona? Fair enough. He's not going to start for Barcelona. So is
And I
that going to
can't
be that
imagine
big
he'd get
deal?
those wages either.
Well, yeah, I don't know who's going to pay 200k a week for him. Like he's already losing a lot of what makes Party very good, and I don't know. I just can't see where he goes, to be honest. And I think it is just not what we need to do. Just get another DM in. If that means spending an extra 20 mil, well, we save money. We bought Kepper, so
Do
that goes.
we do we like go and get a physical destroyer type? Do we get like a 6'8" that can kind of play both? Do we get like a Regista? Do we get like what do we go and get? Because I think the obvious answer is you go almost like for like someone quite physical, someone that's able to kind of turn and pressure, play through the lines a little bit. But is that too simple? Like, are we moving away from that so we shouldn't have that, or do we need? I know we lack running power, so that's 6'8", someone that can break lines. I don't know, like what for you, if Party left, I know you mentioned Agume earlier, is he the person that we should be getting, or is there someone else that you think?
See, I've seen a lot of people like talk about this. I think a lot of people have said that we should just go out and get like a 8-10, like a hybrid in the
Mm-hmm.
attacking areas, which I absolutely understand. Like I get if we get a Hato, put him in left back, Miles can kind of cover that DM, even though I have mentioned that I prefer him in that centre mid, but like I'm not fully against it. Um, Personally, I just think Arsenal need a bit of a physical presence. If we play a double pivot, it's not the end of the world. Miles will probably play there a lot more. Rice will probably play
Yeah.
there. So he'll be that physical presence. But Rice is still going to be making runs into attacking areas. So is Miles. I think if Azuma Mendy is out and in certain games, maybe where we're playing a little opposition or not necessarily Zubimendi's ready, I think I would want a physical type of player, someone that is going to be very quick in recovery, and just like bully teams, which is why Party was good in the first place because he just bullies people because how physical he is. So Agume is like the guy I want. I think as well from a passing
Mm.
level, he brings it. I think some people have said that his passing isn't good. I actually think his passing's better than he is than at tackling. I think he's an incredible passer. I think he has work to do in terms of recovery and timings a little bit, which will obviously not be at the same level as Party, but he is 23 years old. He's going to cost around 15 to 20 million pounds. Like he's obviously not going to be a Thomas Partey, but he's also 8 years younger or 9 years younger. So I think if he came in, he doesn't have to start every game, but can be a good backup. And I think like I've seen people say Boudali from
Buadi,
Lille.
yep.
And I get that. I think he's really good. In my eyes, I think I would prefer him to be a little bit more of an 8. I know some people said, well, he can be a sitter and a 6. I think he's quite lanky, and I want his running power, more importantly, to be used more as an 8. Can use it as a 6 if you want, but in my eyes, in the contact right now, he's still a little lanky, so he gets pushed off a little bit. I don't know if that's what we want. But he's incredibly young. He's 17. I can't see Arsenal getting him. Like, I just don't know if that's realistic for Arsenal to be going out to buy 17, 18-year-olds that probably expect to be playing at least at a high level. Like, he can be playing Premier League football, but not for us at the nearly the top of the league. Like, he will be playing lower down. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, that's why personally, like, I think Agume is probably the best option, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I've got a couple of players here. So Breno Bidon from Corinthians, like a young player. I can imagine him becoming a superstar. Whether we go South America and do that, I think it's very unlikely. Lamine Kamara, like he's in that 6'8". He would be fantastic. Ravella, if you were going for something completely different. So there are players that we can bring into that midfield that would be really low cost and high upside, long term. Dwayne's put here, bring in Timber's brother. Like, I actually don't mind that. I like him.
Quinton, yeah. He's been injured a lot this season, but I mean, he's a good ball. The thing is, he kind of reminds me a little bit like Myles on the ball sometimes.
Yeah.
And he's better he's a more of a like attacker. So I think as an 8, it'd be really good, but I don't know if we need any more 8s. So I was figuring this the other day. I feel like, because there's been links again to El Canoes, obviously. There's also links to like other attacking midfielders. Like, if we wanted to go and get a cheaper attacking midfielder, which I've now kind of come to terms with, I don't think we should do that. I think we should just buy a right winger as our third option rather than an attacking midfielder, because I think I'd rather just give Ethan the time. But there's loads of options out. Nico Paz, I love him. Just get there's options out there. Like, I think that's the exciting thing. Like, if we have about 20 mil to spend, and let's say that the Garcia deal gave us 20 mil, okay, yeah, we wanted to pay that in attack. But if Arsenal are that stingy with the money and they don't want to pay 20 mil extra, I feel like this forces them to, because Partey's now leaving. They're going to be like, well, we need to get some sort of backup. Maybe that is we just spend an extra 20 mil on Hato, the left back, and end up spending 40 mil for him instead. Maybe that's what happens. But I'm not going to complain, because then that's still going to be an insane talent. So, like, I think that's the exciting thing about Partey. I think if we left it another year, like, we have seen Arsenal struggle with this a lot, and Liverpool did it at the time. I remember Liverpool, were they planning to buy Bellingham for like a year and a half, and then it got to that time and he became way too good
late.
and they weren't at that level, and then he went to Real Madrid. The same thing with Rice in many ways. I think like Chelsea were linked to Rice for years, and then by the time Rice actually went to leave, we were obviously like a much more established and doing a lot better than them. So then he came to us. So it's all about timing sometimes, and you can't predict what's going to happen in the market. So you don't want to just like you sit there and wait and be like, oh, we'll get Baleba next year. Baleba might go at the end of this month, where Chelsea panic buy and spend 150 mil on him. Like, you can't wait for them sort of things. I'd love Baleba. I think he's the best player, one of the best midfielders in the world. But like,
I've said about him a few times, haven't I? I mean, do you know what really surprised me? I think is he like 5'10"? I don't think he's actually that big, but he plays like a big player, if that makes sense. He commands those central zones. He's unbelievable. But the chances of us, one, spending and shelling out a fortune to get him in, and two, getting him in to essentially play second fiddle to Zubimendi, I just can't see it happening. I just really can't.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same with our defenders, isn't it? Like, same situation. Like, we don't need to spend 40 mil on Mark Guay. Just go and get cheaper option back.
Yeah. And we've talked about Mascara before, Ribera. Like, there are players that you can get in, and we need to start doing that. Alexander Isak, I'm gonna come back to him. That was an opportunity, and the money at the time, I do remember thinking, God, that's a lot of money. Hindsight, it was the right choice for Newcastle. Sesko, if we could have got the deal done before, probably would have been the right thing, rather than leaving it and playing niceys and being best mates with everyone. And I worry that, again, if we don't get like Hato in, or we don't get one of these midfielders in, you're just going to look at eventually at a 2 years time and go, we've missed the boat.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's just so frustrating. I don't know. Like I look at Bidon over at Corinthians, and I just can imagine Real Madrid going and getting him. You know, they always get these Brazilian players, and they're not scared. I know that financially they're in a completely different stratosphere to us. They can go and pay stupid money for these youngsters that they think are going to become superstars. Part of me just wishes that we would take a punt like that sometimes. Like Fabio Vieira, it hasn't paid off, but at least the club thought, let's go for it. This could work. And I understand looking at his profile why they went for him, and maybe we do that. Maybe we go for a Ravello or someone.
Yeah, it's like it's that I genuinely think that is probably the annoying thing about transfers nowadays. Like even about 5 to 6 years ago, like players would take their time to develop and you would give them time. But now it genuinely feels like any 20-year-old player that's on the market, or even like 18-year-olds on the market that shows any sort of promise is in any league as well. Like even like we're talking about that Greek guy we were linked to 40 million
Yeah.
euros from the Belgium league. He played one season and he's 17. And instantly everyone wants him. 40 mil, you've got to spend it, because if you don't,
Yep.
all these other teams come in. And the problem is a lot of these players aren't progressing. They're going to these top teams too early and they're not being able to bed into the team. Like Šeško was right for not coming to Arsenal last summer, because I think we would have been in the same situation anyway. And I think for his sake, he wouldn't have developed as well as he probably would have. I don't think he developed brilliantly, because I think Leipzig are useless.
Mhm.
But I think like for some of these players, they need to be smarter, and like they shouldn't just go to these big teams, because we're seeing it like you go to PSG at these ages, you will just get thrown out. It took years for Vinny Jr. to have any sort of talent at Real Madrid. He was awful for like 3 seasons. And then I remember he played against Liverpool in COVID and was really good. And that was like the start of him being insane. And it just took so long. And these players need to be given time. And unfortunately, they just don't get the time nowadays, like even a Nicholas Jackson. I'm sure a lot of Arsenal fans probably think he's awful, but he's super young. They spent 30 mil on him where he'd only ever started for 5 months for Villarreal. He was a bench player at a teenager. And Jackson, okay, is not the best player. He's definitely developed a lot better than someone like Højlund. I look at Jackson and go, yeah, he's relatively decent. Like he's not a bad player. Maybe not
Yep.
Chelsea level, but he's fine. And he's still super young and will develop. And I just think like nowadays people just don't give that time to these teams players, because they're at such big clubs at 20 years old for 70 mil, and it's just too early.
Yeah. Players don't develop linearly. They don't just go on unless you're Bukayo Saka and you just constantly get better and better and better and you don't have any troughs. But usually there are peaks and troughs, and players suddenly develop later on. You look at like a Ian Wright or Jamie Vardy that suddenly later on in their career become incredible players. Some players develop early and then just tail off, like a Michael Owen that come on the scene, do incredibly well,
Bruni
or
as
have an
well.
injury. Yeah, like it's not always the same. You can't really tell if these players are going to become superstars or not. But God, I wish players would have more time. I think teams like Brighton, I'm going to throw shade at Brighton here, are ruining the game. Brighton are ruining the game because they're too
playing
good
like
at
Football Manager.
Yeah, they're too good at scouting these players, making them into incredible, established players and selling them on for loads. And but like, I'm genuinely not like saying it. To clarify, I'm not saying that Brighton are bad for the game. I love actually what they're doing. But what I mean is teams like Chelsea now, prime example, look at these players and go, can't miss it, have to get them. Can't miss it, have to get them. I think their owners had even come out and talked about if you can get them for a certain price and just even make like 2 or 3 million on every single one, that's a good business model. And it is to a certain extent. And maybe we should do more business like that and pick players up while they're cheap and move them on if it doesn't work.
It's going to be so funny when Tom Bodie realised how football actually works. Then
yeah, I know.
And he realises, oh wait, I can't get rid of Sterling because no one wants him. Oh, he's on 150k a week.
Oh, Mudryk. Oh God.
I think Mudryk they're going to get away with, because they could probably terminate his contract if he's breached violation. So I feel like they might actually be okay with him. But I mean, I know they're not going to make the money back they spent.
Yeah.
But like in terms of like contracts, these guys are getting 9-year contracts. And then I'm just sitting there like Chukwuemeka. Remember when he was really good, and then he like I think he like sprained his knee or something. Was out for 5 months. Came back, wasn't in the team. Then sent out on loan, and now I want to get rid of him. It's like
Yeah.
you can't just keep doing this. Trevor Chalobah, oh, we don't want him. He's awful. Goes to Palace. He's their best defender. Actually, you're better than all our defenders. We'll bring you back on loan. You didn't even want to come back. And like it's like yes, because he is. He was good. Everyone knew he was good before you loaned him out. Like I don't like
Oh,
I
it's
just look
bonkers,
at
isn't it?
I know a lot of people, like, I know you were joking with the Brighton thing, but a lot of people genuinely do think, I think it comes from a lot of, like, fans of clubs that maybe were successful. Like, let's say, like, a Leeds and, like, our bit fell off a little bit, like, championship sort of teams. I think a lot of them have a lot of, like, they don't like the Brentfords, they don't like the Brightons, they don't like them sort of teams. And I see Brighton are a funny, like, case study because they are, like, literally show what football's like. They were buying youngsters for £5 million about 4 or 5 years ago. They just bought that Greek guy for 40 million like pounds. Like the prices now are insane. 40 million pounds for an 18-year-old from Greece is insane. I know he's good. I've watched the tapes. He looks amazing. But it's just like he is not going to be a starter for well, he might play quite a bit for Brian actually, because if they sell Jan Pedro, but he won't be a proper starter for like at least 2-3 years. And
Yeah.
that's at a high end. That's like good thinking if he develops well. And it's just like that is so much long-term investment, which teams like Arsenal right now, we can't invest in long-term. We have to do now because we're in that situation. Same with Liverpool. Everyone's going mental about Liverpool signings, but they haven't really spent that much in the last couple of years. They did just win the league, but they have to spend money now. City are spending 500 mil on any youngsters. They bought Vitor Reece for 30 mil just to have him. He's played
Yeah.
like 2 games. He's played in the cup and then the Club World Cup. And that's it. They've just gone,
That's
well, we
mad,
need
isn't
him.
it?
He's one of the best Brazilian talents in the world. Let's just pick him up and shove him on the bench. It's like, is he going to go out on loan? Nah, he's just going to sit there. It's like, it's just crazy to me. I kind of hate it. I do hate that side of it. Like, I just wish players were allowed to go to stepping stone clubs and then work their way up like it's supposed to happen. I'm sure these middle teams are just hate it. Like, nowadays, like I don't want to be like mean to Tottenham and be like, oh, middle team, but Tottenham like will
I mean,
just
can
be
we
able
call
to
them
get
a middle
players.
team when they're at the bottom of the table?
Well, they did win the Europa League,
Relegation
so
fodder, aren't they?
I guess to give them that. But like they back in the day, Tottenham were getting these players that had aspirations to be at the top level, and they
Yeah.
saw Tottenham as a stepping stone, like the Modric, the Bales. I know like Bale came through very young. But nowadays, it's like they basically have to sign players that are at their level. The Brennan Johnsons, the Solankis, like
Yeah.
the people that they spend lots of money on. Who can you imagine Solanke going to any club above Tottenham? No, he's a good player, but that's his level realistically. They don't have aspirations or belief that they can get to that high level. And the only way they can actually get any of them is if they buy 18-year-olds like Bergvall and Gray at really young ages for 30, 40 million pounds to even compete at these levels. And it's just insane. Like it's just insane to me. That's how football is at the moment. Like the market is it's not even as expensive as it once was. Like from a top end, but everything's been like squished together. Like back in the day, like players were 200 mil and squad players are like 10, and now it's like oh the best players in the world are 100
So
mil,
just
but then squad players are like 50. Like I don't know. It's all like
yeah.
everything's so bright. It's so weird. Such a weird.
Yeah. I don't know. I just worry about people's views of transfers are just getting so skewed as well. Like Liverpool getting 40 mil, whereas we've never got that amount. It's just really strange how some teams can do these deals and some teams can't do these deals. I don't know. I guess this leads on to friend of the show, George Taylor. Thanks, mate. I'm glad you're watching. By the way, George has said he's going to come on the channel, so we're going to get him on soon as well. So I appreciate you tuning in, mate. Hey, guys. By September 1st, what does an underwhelming versus an amazing summer window look like? Where is the line? Oh. Do we do like numbers first? Like for me, any less than 5 is underwhelming.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think I agree. I think genuinely for me, it's actually like a lot more simpler. Like, I think if we sign two attackers, 2 forwards, I will say that that's a fine window. If we sign one, I've seen some people say that we should sign 1 attacker recently on Twitter, by the way, and I'm like, what? Oh yeah, we should buy a couple of midfielders and a fullbacks. You don't need to spend that much money. It's absolutely not. No, we need to at least buy 2 for a 3 forwards. To me, is like amazing. It depends who they are, but in my eyes, I kind of just want players in there, and I trust the club. If they get players in, they'll be good enough. So if I see 3 forwards, I'll be happy. 2 forwards, I'll be content, and then if I see 1 forward, and if I see none, I'll just be like, I just quit. I just won't bother. At other positions, it's like I want us to sign a Hater. I want us to sign a Ribeiro. I want us to
Yep.
sign maybe an Agume. But that all depends on other situations. That's only my like least priority that I care about compared to the forward line. Like that is important the most.
I guess we're presuming Kepa's coming in. We're presuming, funny enough, look, George reading my mind here. So Kepa coming in, Zubimendi coming in. If I was a betting man, Sesko coming in. Is that fair? I feel that's fair.
I think
Then you're looking at a left winger, and for me, it needs to be someone that actually takes Martinelli and Trossard out of the team for good and puts that debate out. Like I just cannot. I can't have this thing of Trossard. Oh, Trossard's not very good at starting, and oh, Martinelli's not really a touchline winger, and maybe we need to platform him more, and maybe we need to. I just can't do it anymore. Yeah, left forwards. How the level of that left forwards? I think that's possibly for me the tipping point, because if we got in 2 attackers and one was like a Madueke, that's not enough for me. I'm not happy.
no,
I'm not happy. I saw someone earlier had the audacity, I'm going to put it that way, the audacity to state that Saka should move to left wing if Madueke comes in and he starts at right wing. And I am not agreeing with that. You can't move a top 3 right winger in the world over to the left wing to accommodate Madueke.
are we signing your Mao?
Like I
agree. I think I genuinely, I made so many videos about wingers. Right now, June the 20th, have absolutely no idea who we're going to sign as a winger. Genuinely, like as a striker, I think it will be Šeško. Like I'm pretty confident on that. If it is not, it's probably going to be Gyökeres at the end of the day. Maybe a Watkins. That's it. No other strikers really getting considered. Wingers, it could be anyone. And I've said this multiple times. If Rodrigo isn't available, which is going to be bad if he's not, I think, like really detrimental, because I do think he's not perfect by any means, especially with how we play. But if I'm looking at quality on the market, especially like what today, Semenyo's price is 70 mil, 65 mil or something. And Tottenham said they don't want to pay that. Yeah, I don't blame them. Like that is incredibly amount of value. Like I think I think
Tottenham would have to though. To get a player of that standard, and also you were just talking about, them essentially being capped at the type of players. I think if they could get him through the door, that's an incredible buy for them. But
it's the same with Eze though. They're trying to get Eze, and Eze's release clause is like 68 mil, so they're gonna have to be paying that around the same as well. And it's like that's their 2 main targets, I think, in the forward areas right now.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna have to pay a lot of money. Like they've already spent loads of money on mid forwards. I know these guys aren't mid, but Brennan Johnson is mid. I like Solanke. I'm not going to criticize Solanke, but Richarlison's mid as well. So, like, I don't know. From Arsenal's perspective, I think, I don't know what wingers we're going to sign. I'm going to say this now. I'm just going to leave it. Never going to speak about it again. But if Rodrigo can't come in, we should just get Leao and just leave it. We should
I
just
would
get
love
Leao.
that though. That would get me. That would get me excited for the season. So I think there's almost like a statement from Arteta of, you know what, players can start to do what they want to do. Like I'm gonna get you to the final third of the pitch. It's over to you now. And of all the teams in the world that can breathe a little bit and give some players some space and say, do you know what, Bukayo, you don't have to run back this time. Or Rafa Leao, you can just, for 5 minutes, do what you want. Like try to make something happen. We're the team that can do that. Like there's very few teams in the world that can do that, and I think we really are. Question for George here. So George, if you are still in the chat, what do you want to see? And for the left winger, who would you have? For me, I think a minimum of 5 players. Any less than that is not good enough. We have not bought well. Well, not that we haven't bought well. I don't think we've done sufficient business over the past 2 windows, 3 if you're including the pre-Club World Cup window.
I'd say
I,
I'd
and it
squad
depends on
players are the
party as
problem.
well. Pardon?
Yeah.
Squad
I,
players.
yeah, I think that's the issue. Like when I think about Arsenal signings being poor, I think other than Trossard and Jorginho, and like you can argue maybe Kivior now and even Tomiyasu,
Mm.
but I think we don't even sign enough squad players as it is for cheaper value. And it seems like when we do, they're fine. So why don't we do it more? Like I think I know people won't care about it because it's not the priority, but that is something I'm thinking about a lot this summer. Like, I want to have better squad players. This is why we talk about people like Ribeiro and Agame. Like, I want these players to come in because at least it's like pretty good value for money in the market, which we do struggle with. I think we really do struggle to get value for the market because we paid basically for like a lot of money. Maybe other than defenders. I think defenders were pretty good, but then
Yeah.
everywhere else we kind of overpay a little bit. It's concerning.
Yeah.
It's what it is, but
Yeah. I do agree. Like this summer is a really weird one because we're asking for top quality in attack, two attacking top quality players. We're asking for a world class six. And I don't think that can be underestimated. Like, he is a world class six. And then you're still saying, okay, after that, please, could you then go and get us some more squad players, a backup goalkeeper? Could you maybe go get us an overlapping left back?
they should have
Could
done
you
it in January.
ship out Thomas Partey? I want another replacement, like, you know, someone to take over from him. Like, it is mad, isn't it, that that's what we expect now, though.
Yeah.
3
That
years
is
of
like
being
career
second,
mode,
and
isn't it?
mm,
People do career modes and they're like, oh, like every summer you get Arsenal fans on Twitter, like, I want these 10 players to come in, I want these 10 players. And it's like, oh, yeah, well, we're never going to do that much transfer business. But we have to this summer. Like,
yeah,
they
we
have
have to.
promised us that. Like, and we haven't done business well enough. Liverpool, I think, as well, will force our hand to maybe spend that extra bit more on players that we need, which is good at the end of the day. I do want to say, like, where do you think is underwhelming in terms of sales? Because it's not something we've really spoke about a lot.
Ooh.
And I think like that obviously is going to impact a lot. I think we talk about squad players. I think they're going to be impacted by how much money
Mm.
we could get for certain players leaving. So I think that's a big thing.
I'm really on the fence with certain players. Like, we talked about Thomas Partey earlier. For me, I think he does need to leave the club. I think it's crazy paying 200 grand a week for a player, or possibly more, for a player that's not going to be in rotation all the time, with his age, with his injury record. Kivior, I think this is the point where you can get the maximum value for him. He's only going to have a value that's depreciating from now. Do you start to look at, you know, Martinelli? For
It's been
me,
rumours, haven't there?
for me, I would like to keep him. I would let Trossard go, but I see the argument of him leaving. He's a player that you can get good money for. I'm sure certain teams can look at him, like a more transition-based team, and think, oh, we can use him in the right manner. I just don't think Martinelli is used in the right way. There's so many of these players. Like, I'm going to throw something out here as well, Reece. You're not going to agree. You know what I'm going to say, don't you? You could even get rid of Kai. I'm not saying get rid of him, but I do understand the argument of bring in Sesko, bring in someone like, there is an argument to be made. I think Basher said it earlier about him. You know, is he really a 9? Was he bought to be an 8? I don't know. I don't think he should leave, but there are options for us to get money in. But in terms of underwhelming sales, I don't know. It's a bit of a weird one because I don't feel we have to. Zinchenko has to go.
Yeah. I think he's like him, Vieira,
Yes.
maybe Nelson. I think them three in my eyes have to go. I don't even care how much we get for Nelson. He's on 100 grand a week.
But I almost forget they're in our squad.
But they're on a lot of money. So
they are, yeah. But isn't that awful that I forget
I'm not too like Vieira. I'm just kind of like, it is what it is. Like I think we could get a little bit of value for him. Like, he has still got a talent. He's not that old. Like, Zinchenko, 10 to 15 mil, I think is fine. Like, I'd take that. He's on a lot of money. If we got anywhere between 15 to 20 mil for Vieira, I think it's pretty good money. I don't really like Vieira. Is what it is. I'm not really like that bothered about getting him out, because if he stays, he could just play a couple of games if he actually gets better. Like, I don't really like. I'm not that against him. I know he probably won't now with Ethan coming in, but if Ethan backs up on the right wing, I mean, I don't hate it. Nelson has to go in my eyes. We need to buy a new right winger. If that's Madueke, if that's
100%.
Cuba or anyone, like I want a new fresh right winger who's reliable. Like Nelson on his day is decent, but he's not way too much money. He's just too injury prone. I think when it comes to like they're like the three for me that have to go. Like
Yeah.
or like maybe like Vieira, like I'm like 90% on Vieira. He should go. 10% I wouldn't mind. The other two is like 100% they have to. Everyone else, I'm kind of like it depends. If we get like I've always been quite against selling Kivior because I don't necessarily care that his value's high right now. I just think if he's good, keep him as a good backup. But if we are going to get a Hato who is widely linked, and if we do push for that signing, and if we also do look at a Ribeiro who is going to be a right centre back cover, but can also cover left centre back, is no point for Kivior to be here. So then you could probably sell Kivior anyway. And I think if a
Mhm.
Yoro Hato came in, we probably would sell Kivior in my eyes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't think they overlap completely, but I think that works. And then yeah, like Partey to go. Like I think everyone else is like, I mean, they could say I think Havertz is going to be here long term. Like I don't think
Oh,
Havertz
no,
is
I
going to
do.
leave.
I do. I do.
I
I'm
think
just.
Mourinho will be gone maybe next season though. So I think that's why maybe the spots open up a little bit because I don't know how much
Mm.
Mourinho's going to play next season. I'm not going to lie. Like if we don't have as bad as injury problems as we had this year, I don't know if I see him playing a lot. When he first came in, I thought the midfield was going to be Mourinho left centre mid, Odegaard right centre mid, Rice DM. But it's clear that even Rice doesn't work in a lone DM, which I don't think he does in some certain games. I think in some he's fine. We've bought Zubimendi in now, maybe going to a double pivot. And then Marino was better up front than he was in left centre mid. He was good in left
I
centre
mean,
mid.
if Zubimendi does come in, which we're presuming is going to happen, we could play that kind of offset double pivot that they did at Real Sociedad. So that is an option, but that's the only time I can really see Marino getting games because he's not going to play up front, which is mad, isn't it? Because to be fair to the guy, he's done an incredible job to come in as a number 9, never having played there, and to score some of the goals he scored in the games and the moments that he did. It's
interesting though,
harsh.
isn't
It's
it?
really harsh.
Because I think he might. I think next season, if let's say a Benjamin Šeško, if he does come in, say he's injured, and Arsenal want to play a specific way, and maybe a Zubimendi isn't fit. I know there's like a lot of variables here, but
Yeah.
I could see Marino playing up front in a 2 with Havertz. I don't even know how that would work. That would
Oh,
be like proper like 4-4-2. Put the 2 big men up
could
front
you
and we'll
imagine
launch the
throwing the
ball to
kitchen
them.
sink at it and where we've got Sesko, Havertz, and Marino up front? I would
If we
love
didn't win
to
a
see
header
that.
then I'd be like, well, let's stop crossing it. Let's give up. Let's just not bother. But that's the thing. I think Marino is like an impact sub later in games would be like a good way to use him. And I feel like he still will play up front a lot. Like I can see him playing up front more than a Trossard, more than a Martinelli, more than
Mm.
even a Rodrigo, even though I kind of like Rodrigo in that sort of false 90 role. So maybe there's an option for him. I think we may this is a bit of a hot tip, but maybe we use Marino as a friendship cheese with Zubimendi and got Zubimendi in, and then next year when Zubimendi's here, go come
I'm
Marino.
I'm being genuine. I have been told, essentially that the Zubimendi deal was kind of offset for like another year. Marino was brought in, and it was like there was like an agreement with Real Sociedad that were not even going to attempt to get Zubimendi in because they didn't want to lose both of them at the same time. That's what I've been told. Like, I don't think it was a case of like, oh, we'll take Marino now, and then if it's all right with you, we will take the other. But like, apparently there was almost like an agreement of like, both of them do not leave the club, which is pretty mad. Like, but I can kind of.
It made no
Like-
difference because they were even worse. So
Yeah, that's true.
should have just got rid of him.
George has also put someone else here, though. He said, look forward to the discourse when Partey leaves and Sambi returns to summer training. That's another guy I completely forgot. Like,
Well, that's what
Sambi
this is where we use our good friendliness with teams to work in our favour. We go to Seville. We go, right, listen, Seville, you can't afford Sambi Congo, unfortunately. He's too expensive. However, we like one of your players. I know, crazy. Agave, well, why don't we bring him in and give you a bit, maybe 10 mil, and we'll take him in, and you can have Congo, which also helps us get Congo off the books. Goes to a team he likes because he played a lot for them last season and liked it there. They like him as well. and then we get the player we want. And there you go.
Mate, I would take that.
We should use the players we don't want for bargaining chips. I've seen the same with Zinchenko. If a Milan wants Zinchenko, I mean, Milan are going for a rebuild, so it's a bit of a different situation. But I'd be looking at their players and being like, well, who do you want for Zinchenko? If you're, like that's what we need to do. That's literally what Liverpool have just done with this whole Kwanzaa thing. They literally gave Kwanzaa to Leverkusen because it was part of this. I know it's like not formally a part of the Vert still, but it was definitely an agreement they had to make the Vert still maybe a little bit cheaper. And they were like, you have Kwanzaa, and then they'll buy Gray. So like, we need to do that as well. That's the best way to get rid of these players.
Bring it on, mate. What have we got to tonight? 1 hour 40, pretty much dead on. Another episode down. Episode 13. Unlucky number 13. Friday the 13th. What are we doing next? Maybe should we actually should we do another tier list? I feel like we need a tier list coming up. Unless Zubimendi does go through, which could happen, couldn't it? Is it sad, right? I've already got thumbnails ready for certain players, just in case they come through. How bad is that?
That's good, though. I don't. I'm not prepared at all. I don't even think I'm ever going to speak about Kepa joining when he does. Like, I don't think I ever spoke about Neto in a video at all. I don't actually think I ever mentioned him. I don't even think people might not know I even know he's at the club. I don't think I ever, other than the Noah game where he did that mistake and I probably did some analysis on it. Like, that's the only game I probably ever spoke about him. I don't think I'm ever going to speak about
best,
Kepa.
mate. It's for the best. I know if Kepa signs, I know what I'm going to do now. I'm going to put a thumbnail up or something completely random and I'll just have him poking in the side. That's it. And it's just going to be an inside joke with the viewers of the FOKLZ podcast. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Yet again, we will be back next week. Probably the usual time of 8 o'clock. If not, it will be 8:30. But we will put it out on X to make sure that you guys don't miss it. Please make sure you find Reece on
FOKLZ football, FOKLZ YT. You know how it is.
Look at that. It is smooth here. And obviously, you'll find me on Folder on Footy on TikTok, on X,